Hello and welcome to sim.bc, where it currently is 17:20, so just 20 past 5, just turned 21 past 5 in the afternoon. Just going to turn off vibrations and stuff on my phone so I don't get interrupted by that, because I've had such a productive day today, mates. You wouldn't believe. Like, I woke up at 7 and then I snoozed for 3 hours. Oh yeah, I snoozed for 3 hours because that is the jam, right? That is well good. You know, just to get up in the morning and feel like I don't have to do that much today, do I? No, I can get a few extra hours in. So yeah, I slept for an extra 3 hours. Yeah. Personal obedience and discipline and all of that. No, but the reason why was because I was going to study with my mate today, but my mate is sick, so he's home, and I was going to study at home, and then yesterday I happened just by chance to get like really far ahead in my studying, and I was like, oh, I've done 3 days worth of studying in 1 day, mate. Now I just need to rehearse everything. So that felt really good, really great. Felt like I was really coming out on top there. So I woke up, watched some series, ate some breakfast, went to the gym, sorted out some stuff with my guitar because I'm gonna get it home on the flight. Hope that it survives because I'm gonna check it in. So I'm gonna look into buying a hard case for it and all of those good stuff. But that's currently what I've been doing today, and now I'm gonna record this, and then we're gonna go back into studying because that's what I'm all about. And yeah, yesterday I also bought an advent calendar. I don't know if you call it that in English. Advent calendar? The calendar, that you calculate, or that you open one. I don't know what it's called. One box and look, yeah. One box anyway for each and every day up until Christmas, and I've written on them like study. 3rd of December, study. 4th of December, study. 13th of December, exam. 18th of December, presentation, so, get me motivated with a bit of chocolate every day. Anyway, that's not why you are here now, is it? No, because you are here to discuss, or rather, watch me discuss, right? But you are free to join in the comment section below on a follow-up to equity theory, which is going to be the organizational justice. And just bear with me, mates. I'm going to read off this. Organizational justice is the perception of an unfair or fair treatments received in the workplace. You with me so far? That is what organizational justice is. It is how you're treated and the perception of how you're treated to make it fair or unfair in the workplace. Organizational justice is an important determinator of motivation and job satisfaction at work. Why? Well, because if you feel like you're handled in a way that's fair, odds are that you're going to be more motivated than if inequalities happens at work. Organizational justice is composed of 4 different types of organizational justice. And what are these justices, you may ask? Well, it's distributive justice, procedural justice, interpersonal justice, and informational justice. And if I close my eyes there, I was just going to see if I could remember them, the distributive, informational, interpersonal, and procedural, right? Yes, that is it. Oh, woo! On fire. As I said, I studied a lot yesterday. I have it all in my head. So, going into the first one then, what is distributive justice? Well, the distributive justice is basically the fairness of resource allocation. Now, what do I mean with that? Well, it means that if I'm working really, really well, I'm putting in like 80% more time than me mate Jerry or Gary or whatever I called him yesterday. Let's go with Gary. I feel like that's a good name. Otherwise, diversity, changing names. All good, all fine. Yeah, so I'm putting in 80% more time, right, than Gary over here does. Then I feel like I should have 80% more resources allocated to me because, I'm working 80% harder. Makes sense, doesn't it? So that's the entire idea behind it, that the fairness of resource allocation, that resources are allocated fairly in conjunction with how you're working. So if someone is working harder, they should have more resources allocated to them. And especially, this shouldn't be the case that if you're working less efficient or putting in less amount of time or less effort, that you still are allocated more resources. Now, I know resources can be interpreted in different ways, just bear with me. It could be that if you're very inefficient, that the company itself thinks, oh, well, this guy's kind of inefficient in comparison to Gary over there, who is a star. I kind of need to put in more resources to get him up on the level of everybody else. But what I mean is that, you're rewarded with resources. You're rewarded with actually being able to work at the capacity that you want to due to you being allocated more resources. That's what I meant. So distributive justice is the first one. Then we're moving into procedural justice, probably the biggest of them all. The fairness of procedures that have led to the distribution of the resources. So, yet again, working with the distribution of resources, distributive justice within this one. I know, different levels on this. So the first part of procedural justice then is people tend to accept more easily a negative feedback or result if they perceive that the process is fair and was equal. What is meant by that? Well, basically, if I think that everybody had the same chance of doing something in the procedure of the projects rather. So if we're in a project, right, we're working towards a goal, if everybody had the same, if it's equal, everybody had the same amount of chance to put in the input, everybody had the same chance to support the same outcome. Then if you get a negative effect, you might say, well, this is probably just because I didn't put in as much effort as the other people in the team did, because we all had an equal opportunity and an equal chance of putting in as much as we wanted. This is leaving everything up to objective, an objective view, so that it feels like you're not trashing your teammates, you're trashing yourself. And that seems harsh and unhealthy, but it's better than you going around and screaming at your teammates saying that they're bad, when in all honest reality, that was hard words, you are the one who didn't put in the effort. And that's procedural justice, the first part of it. The second part is to be perceived as a fair procedure must be socially accepted, known in advance, sufficiently clear and stable, not changed according to the situation. What I meant by this is that the team manager, for instance, comes along and say, well, we're going to work on this project, this is what you're going to put in the effort towards, this is the objective of it all, everybody is agreed that this is the objective, everybody is agreeing on the sequence of how we're going to progress towards this goal. And and it has to be stable, because if the team manager all of a sudden halfway through comes along and change one step, and it turns out that one person has spent more time on this step than the others, it will be unequal, you know what I mean? The distribution of, rewards, and the distribution of what this person has chosen to actually work on will be, it will be all skewed. So the procedure needs to be constant, it needs to be stable over a long period of time, and everybody needs to know about the procedure beforehand, before they even get into it. So that's the two parts. People tend to accept more easily negative feedback because they know that it's subjective and they know that they only have themselves to blame. And the perception of that it's stable, so that it's has been the same for a very long time, so people know what they should aim towards. That's the two different parts of procedural justice. Moving into interpersonal justice, this is probably the most, comes down to opinion, right? Because this is the one to be treated with respect and dignity at work. Now, what does that actually mean? It's quite a broad subject, isn't it? Because we have went through culture, right? So if you're unfamiliar with it, have lots of, a majority of all my videos on culture, it feels like that anyway. So we've already established that depending on which culture you come from, if it's high context, low context, depending on where you are on the different dimensions of hofty, depending on what people perceive that you are, but you're actually you actually of another spectrum than your country is. So people are confirming stereotypes or confronting stereotypes. To be treated with respect and dignity at work, it's have a lot with perception and opinion of doing. It's a lot of perception, because what I think is dignity and respect might be something completely different to me mate Gary over there. Yeah, it's not there, it's there. I'm with me. So Gary might say oh, you did a good job, and he smiles towards me. I might think that he's sexually incentivizing me. You know what I mean? That's probably a bit harsh, but we were taught this example in school a while back. There was a guy who had worked with Lidl, and he said that when they were introducing Lidl, a German company in the US, people were constantly saying that, no, we can't do this. The people are very disrespectful in the stores, and the people at Lidl didn't understand. I don't know if it was in the US or in Sweden, so don't quote me on that. But the basis is the same. So this idea with Lidl, no wait, it was Walmart. Sorry, I'm getting them confused. Yes, it was. Now it all makes sense. It was a Walmart opening in Germany where we're discussing Lidl at the same time. Okay, so just take away everything I just said. So it was Walmart, right? The idea with Walmart is that not the complete business objective in all the ideas, but one of the ideas at Walmart is that everybody should smile towards the customers, right? But when they opened that up in Germany and they brought along the same idea, well, when they were smiling towards the customers thought that they were sexually incentive and they didn't like it. So they had to either shut down or change their policy completely in Germany. It was one or the other. So sorry for the misconception there. I was talking about Walmart opening in Germany. So yeah, but that's the same idea that the people who work there at Walmart in Germany, because we're talking about Walmart in Germany. I don't know if I've said it, but we're talking about Walmart in Germany, not Lidl in the US. Anyway, when they were opening there, they thought that they were treating every customer with respect and dignity. But all the people who went into the shop, not all of them, but many people, enough people to actually make it become a problem, thought that, well, they're very sexually incentive and why are they smiling at me? And this is making me uncomfortable. So, it's also about the interpersonal justice then. I'm gonna get to a point, It's not only the people inside the corporation, the people that you work with, but also the people who you're in contact with when you're working. The aspect of respect and dignity can be very different depending on where you come from, even between different individuals. So interpersonal justice is all about your perception at the workplace. Moving into the last one, informational justice, fair and broad information sharing. Interpersonal plus informational justice is interactional justice. Just a little side note, it's interactional justice when you put interpersonal and informational justice together. Informational justice then, fair and broad information sharing. This is like mainly transparency within different companies, that the people who work, they want to have transparency to make it seem like, or not make it seem like, sorry, to feel like, rather, yes, that's the word, to feel like they're being treated fairly and to feel like people are, from the top, are actually considering them as people and not just as pawns in a game. You with me? Because they want as much information transparency as possible, or, well, to a point. You can't give out too many secrets and stuff like that if you're in a company, I would assume. But the worker at the base level, at the grassroots level, should feel like, well, I'm getting enough and sufficient information about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how I can proceed in order to make it better or worse. So yeah, that's informational justice. So the four different justices we've gone through is distributive, procedural, informational, and interpersonal. Not in that order, it was interpersonal then informational. Yes, I know them. And then if you put together interpersonal and informational justice, you get interactional justice, which is, is how you interact with people at work and the people that you come in contact with. Yet again, was talking about Walmart opening in Germany. Sorry for the misconception there. That was everything from me today, mates. Feel like we covered that quite sufficiently and, efficient. Tomorrow we're going to talk about expectancy theory by Victor Rome. He has double O's in his last name, that's why, in his surname. But Victor Rome, I think that's pronounced. Otherwise I'm just butchering another word from another language. But yeah, you're used to it by now, aren't you? That's the way I operate. So yeah, have a nice one, mates, and I'll see you tomorrow. It was Walmart opening in Germany.